Hello and welcome to Odds on La Liga Matchday 1. We are back with Alvaro Romeo. I hope you guys are very happy to analyze one season more La Liga. And Alvaro, I'm happy to see you. And I don't know if you are surprised, but I am a little surprised to see Real Madrid as favorites before the start of La Liga.
Me too. I think Barcelona is the favorite. I think that they showed last season that they were the best team. From what I have seen in the pre-season, Barcelona seems quite similar to what they were. I understand the hype around Xabi Alonso because he did very well in Germany, but Barcelona is slightly more established. And let's don't forget Atlético. I don't think that they will be there winning La Liga, but Atlético has changed the team over the last couple of years. They have done like 9 or 10 signings just to rejuvenate the squad, and I think that Atlético will try to put a fight as well. Other than that, I will tell you that Athletic Bilbao has a really good lineup, but I don't think they have enough squad to win La Liga, especially because they will be involved in European competition at the highest level, the Champions League, and that's gonna make it difficult for them. But yeah, it's great to be here, Edu, and thank you very much for having me for another season.
Thank you for being with us another season. Thanks everyone, of course, for watching and for following us. Tell your friends, of course, subscribe to our channel, press the like to the video, and now let's go on with the show. Well, it's match day 1, so we have to analyze also the transfer market in La Liga. A bit sad, I must say, apart from Atlético de Madrid and Real Madrid, the mid-table, smaller teams couldn't afford to sign huge players. But, well, we have an exciting season with Real Madrid as favorites, as I said in the intro, 1.8 to win the title, 2.10 for Barcelona. Later on, we are going to analyze the 3 big candidates to win the trophy. But now, let's start with the games we have on Friday. We have 2 games, Girona, Rayo Vallecano, to start the season, 7 p.m. in Montilivi. Last season, it was a special one for Girona because they played Champions League for the very first time in their history, and they were about to get relegated. The second part of the season, or the whole season actually, was very bad. In La Liga, they lost a lot of key players during the previous summer, and this season, Alvaro, they didn't add too much into their squad. They also didn't lose too much, but the squad is pretty similar. They still have 𝗵𝐿, of course, on the bench. Rayo fan, remember, a special game for them. And for Rayo Vallecano, this one is going to be a special season because they are back in Europe, and perhaps this could pay at all in a small squad, in a humble team like Rayo Vallecano.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, not many changes for Rayo Vallecano. I mean, they got the same manager they had last season. 𝗵𝐿 did a very good job. And they got pretty much the same squad as well. The only thing I hope is that they can keep Ratiu, the Romanian right back, because apparently there were some offers for him. He was kind of ready to leave, but he hasn't left yet, and I wouldn't discard Ratiu leaving. I also know that Barcelona had a little bit of an interest for him, just as a replacement for 𝗍𝗏𝗏, but Barcelona has some financial constraints that slowed them from moving freely in the market. But yeah, Rayo Vallecano will have to deal with 2 competitions this season, and I think that is going to be difficult for them, very difficult for them, in fact. And when it comes to Girona, I really want to see how they do not playing in Europe, because for me, Girona last season, they were massively affected by 2 things. Number one, that they lost the best players they had in the 23-24 season. Therefore, in sensitive areas as well, like for example the number 9 with 𝗿𝗏𝗿𝗏𝗏𝗏, the holding midfielder with Alex Garcia, those key players that you need in every team, they were gone. And Girona tried to redo the team, redo the squad, craft it in a different way. It didn't work for them. But this season, they haven't lost any particular great player because they lost all of them last season. They brought themselves the likes of 𝗵𝐿, and they think that football is too fast for him already. Vítor Reis, the centre-back from Manchester City, who didn't have the best time in England from January onwards the last season, but let's see, maybe he's a promising prospect. And for me, 𝗃𝗏𝗏𝗏 is the biggest conundrum. What kind of player can he be these days? After suffering such a bad injury, he was okay for Atlético de Madrid. Some people said that he was crucial when winning the league in 2021 for Atlético. The truth is that if I think about that season, I don't remember many good things by Lemar. I think that he was only a soldier, another team player, but still, he's a good addition for Girona. If Lemar can bring his level, or the level he saw at Monaco, it would be a really good addition. But, these two teams are going to be, again, fun to watch. I think that Rayo Vallecano right now is in a slightly better place than Girona because they got a very similar team to last year's. But for this game, this is the first one of the season. I'm going to try to be optimistic. And since Girona, when they are good, try to attack. And since Rayo Vallecano is a team that is not aloof to that either, when they have to attack, they do. I'm going to be a little bit optimistic to start with. I'm going to go for over 2.25 goals in this game, 182.
All right, Álvaro, on Friday we have Villarreal, Real Oviedo. Villarreal, remember, playing Champions League this season, and Oviedo back to Primera División. They won the last game at the playoffs against Mirandés. Very happy to see Oviedo back in Primera División. Such a nice city, such a nice supporters, and they have Paunovic as manager, and they have Santi Cazorla in the team. Former Villarreal star, remember, of course, and Villarreal, Álvaro, they signed Thomas Partey actually this week. They also have Moleiro, they have Rafa Marín, but well, two big absentees, especially I would say Baena and Barry.
Yeah, especially Alex Baena, because I think that Tierno Barry was a good number 9, but Villarreal can survive without him. But Baena was mainly the interrupter, the switch that made Villarreal suddenly very vertical in the way they played, because Alex Baena has this ability to send through passes that are very dangerous, very good crosses as well. Baena is not there, but Villarreal is a team that, generally speaking, works very well in the market, and also they plan very well, because when Baena left, they automatically announced Moleiro, a different player to Baena, but we know that Moleiro is one of these promising Spanish footballers coming from Las Palmas. They also got themselves Tejon Buchanan from Inter, and the very controversial signing of Thomas Partey, who has been investigated in England for charges of rape. It's going to be an interesting season for Villarreal. They've got a very good manager like Marcelino. We know about that. Last season they were very entertaining, not very good defensively. They scored many goals, and they had in 𝐿𝐭𝐴𝐵𝒍, a footballer who made the difference. I don't know if 𝐿𝐭𝐴𝐵𝒍 can go on for much longer at this level, because he's 32, 33, and even this game week 1 he could miss his game because he's been in the sidelines. So let's see. I think that one of the best things for Villarreal last season is that they played only one competition, and that helped them finish 5th. This season is going to be different. The squad is not bad. It's a good squad, quite deep as well. But I think that they may struggle at some point with having to play 2 competitions, being one of them the Champions League. One thing that will be confirmed soon, I think, is that the goalkeeper for this season is going to be Luis Junior. Last season they changed goalkeepers in the middle of the season. It's good to have a stability in goal. But yeah, I think Villarreal should be, in a good day, as good as they were last season, if not better, because this will be the second season of Marcelino in charge. When it comes to Real Oviedo, it's great to have them back. Real Oviedo has been 24 years out of Primera División. They have tried to do things in the market after getting the promotion in the playoffs, beating Mirandés. Santi Cazorla was excellent in those playoffs and in the season in the 24-25. It's true that in the playoffs he couldn't be available all the time, but he helped a lot. Even from a personal point of view, he was the player who was captaining the team. He was the player who was motivating the players. Santi Cazorla is brilliant. He's a brilliant footballer, so it's great to have him back in La Liga, maybe for his last season. They have signed a few players, like Luka Ilic, for example, is their most expensive signing, only 2 million from Red Star of Belgrade. Luka Jovic looked like could play for Oviedo, but at the end he chose to go to AEK Athens, and therefore Oviedo got Salomon Rondon on loan. And also, Oviedo got a player that Premier League fans may remember. 9 years ago, 𝗷𝗵𝗍𝗂𝗍 had his debut in the Premier League for Liverpool. Since then, his career hasn't been the greatest, but maybe at Oviedo he has a chance to prove what he thinks is his worth. Anyway, all this said, I think Paunovic is a good coach. He coached in England, he's got experience, he knows La Liga very well because he was a player of La Liga. But for this game, I'm going to go for Villarreal, Edu, because, at the end of the day, I go for things I know better. And I know that last season, Villarreal was pretty decent at home, if not very good. So Villarreal to win the second half, 173, that is where the value is.
Well, Oviedo is one of the favorites or candidates to go down, of course, together with the two other promoted teams, Elche and Levante. These are the games we have on Friday. On Saturday, we have the current champions, Barcelona, playing against Mallorca. They had a brilliant pre-season, thrashing every single team, scoring plenty of goals. It looks like they never went on holidays. Two additions to the team, the goalkeeper Garcia and Marcus Rashford. One big absentee, Alvaro 𝐿ñigo Martínez. They had to get some money, especially release from the salaries, because he went for free to Arabia, so it might be a problem for the defense of Hansi Flick. But the team looks sharp, especially Lamine Yamal looks great in this pre-season, and they are playing in Mallorca. It's never an easy stadium, but Mallorca last season, Álvaro, they were very good in the first half of the season with the new manager Arrasate, and then they dropped. They have, by the way, Pablo Torres as one of the main signings from Barcelona, actually.
Yeah, let's see how he does, Pablo Torre, because it's true that it's been 3.5 years since he's been cavorting around Spanish football without finding a proper place. This boy comes out from Racing de Santander youth ranks. His father was a footballer, I remember him. This tells you how old I am, especially today, Edu. His father was Esteban Torre, a good footballer, and Pablo Torre was the nominal number 10, skillful, nice to watch, a bit of a leader, as Racing de Santander as well. Then Barcelona signed him. He didn't find many opportunities at Barcelona, but it looked like his progress was linear. He got a loan to Girona. He was good, but he wasn't, the player that we thought he was going to be at that point. At Barcelona, he has no room right now, or he didn't have it, because in his position you get the likes of Fermín and Dani Olmo, and now this is an opportunity for him. I really hope that he can spend the full season feeling like a little bit of a leader for Mallorca, a team that has a good coach. I don't know if Arrasate is the kind of manager that gives all the responsibility, attacking responsibility, to a player like him. I think that Arrasate is another type of manager, but anyway, hopefully he will become a better footballer and he will fulfill his potential there in the islands. One thing that one thing that hasn't been ideal for Mallorca is the fact that this summer a few players have expressed their desire to leave. The likes of Maffeo, Larín and Luna, especially the first two, are very important for Mallorca. And right now they are training on their own, because Arrasate doesn't want players who are not 100% committed to the team. Arrasate has made the decision to put them away, to cast them away until they, fix their future. This is not the best way of, preparing a season, let alone preparing a football game against the champion, Barcelona, who, you say, Edu, I think that you put it this way, it looks like they didn't go on holiday. I'm gonna disagree with you. I think that the reason why they look so sharp is because they went on holiday. Because Real Madrid didn't, for example, and Atletico didn't either, and Barcelona players, most of them are very young, and on top of that, you give them a month holidays. That could be a difference maker at the start of the season. that could be a difference maker. And yes, I know that there are a few things that haven't been fixed yet. Joan Garcia will be registered to play this game against Mallorca, because yesterday I think that he was finally registered, or Barcelona got the money to register him. I don't know about Marcus Rashford, whether he's going to be available for this game or not. I think that I don't know how good Joan Garcia is, because I have seen him a lot, but on the other hand, I'm in no position to judge a goalkeeper until I see him a lot, because I don't know a lot about goalkeeping. I need to listen to people who know a lot, but he did a very good job at Espanyol, that's for sure. The job at Barcelona is totally different, because Barcelona plays in a different way. Then Marcus Rashford, if he regains the level of 2017, he's going to be a great player for Barcelona, and he will give a rest to Rafinha and Lewandowski. But let's see if he can do that, because at Aston Villa last season he was, quite inconsistent, like he has been over the last 3-4 years. And other than that, I think Barcelona has a lot of midfielders. I think Barcelona has a very clear way of playing, but in that way of playing, Íñigo Martínez was key. Íñigo Martínez was the first guy who understood perfectly how Hansi Flick wanted to play defensively and how high the defensive line had to be. If Íñigo Martínez leaves, Barcelona will have to use someone to play next to 𝗵𝗵𝗏. And I'm not too sure that Christensen, especially Araujo or Eric Garcia, are very good at playing with this high line. Íñigo Martínez and 𝗵𝗏, they look perfectly suited to each other. So over there, Íñigo Martínez's absence can be one that gets missed a little bit at the start of the season. But on the other hand, Barcelona is playing so well in attack, and Lamine Yamal especially, that I think Barcelona is going to win this game. And I will go for an Asian handicap -1 for Barcelona, 180. If you go for a -1.25, it goes over 2. But Asian handicap -1 for Barcelona, 180, would be my value. And if I go for something quite risky, or not risky, but something more ambitious, I will go for the following. Asian handicap -1.25 for Barcelona, and Lamine Yamal to score. Altogether 461. Why do I go for Lamine Yamal to score? Because I think that this season he is going to put some very good numbers. Last season, he scored around 18, 19 in all competitions. I think he's got the potential to go to 25 or 30 goals per season. I think that he can do that.
Are you going to celebrate your birthday like Lamine Yamal?
No. Just because I've got some other ideas of how a birthday should be, Edu. I don't think that me in a gangster suit will look very good. I will look ridiculous. Lamine Yamal will look great. Lewandowski look like a proper gangster. In my case, maybe a little bit.
How on earth Lewis Hamilton and Lamine Yamal are friends to invite Lewis Hamilton to your birthday party?
I mean, money makes really strange connections. Yeah, that's for sure.
Instead of calling your school friends, right? This was my birthday when I was 18. Of course,
let's call Hamilton. Let's call Jack Nicholson. Let's call LeBron James. Let's call, they can do this. I think that their agents can put together a plethora of big numbers. But no, I'm just not looking good in gangster suits, Edu. Also, I think that Lamine Yamal, when he celebrated his birthday, he invited a certain type of individuals that, maybe he shouldn't have invited, because that was not very politically correct, as you may remember. So, no, I think that Lamine Yamal has learned a lot. Welcome to adulthood. Don't invite certain people when you are 18 or over to your birthday.
Well, there was some concern about Lamine Yamal's behavior outside the pitch, and actually inside the pitch everything is perfect for Barcelona. Outside it has been a strange summer with the Ter Stegen issue, with Rashford is not yet available to play in Mallorca. By the way, with the work in progress in the stadium, perhaps Barcelona cannot play the first phase of the Champions League in the Camp Nou, so some nasty issues still outside the pitch, even with the friendly games in Japan. They were going to Japan, then cancel the tour in Japan, then going the next day to Japan. Something that we are not used to see in a huge club like Barcelona, still run in an odd way, but on the grass, Alvaro is working, that's for sure.
And I want to say something else. I think that, look, every president of Barcelona should feel happy with La Masia producing so many good players. Because over the last 30 years, Barcelona has invested a lot in the academy, right? But at the same time, Joan Laporta has been extremely lucky that La Masia has produced so many players in the generation born between 2003 and 2007. He can consider himself very lucky. Because it's true that you can invest in the academy, every club does, Barcelona does more than the rest. But still, Barcelona from 2011 until 2021 didn't bring in so many good academy players that established themselves in the first team. If Barcelona hadn't produced so many good players in the generation born between 2003 and 2007, I'm talking about Gavi, Lamine, Fermín, Valde, 𝗵𝗂𝗏, Bernal, Casado, Lamal, and many more, Barcelona will be in real trouble. Because they cannot operate normally in the market.
Some of them scouting when they were very young, like Fermín or Gavi, for instance. So good job for the scouters of Barcelona. Well, let's go to the next game. Quicker in this one, of course, Alavés Levante. This should be a relegation six-pointer with Alavés struggling last season until the end to stay in Primera División. Remember, they sacked Luis Garcia. We were doubtful about 𝗀𝐿𝐴 as always, but he saved the team. So good job for Alavés staying one season more in Primera División. And Levante is this kind of elevator team going to Segunda, going to Primera, going to Segunda, going to Primera. But they have a good manager that you know well, Alvaro, and Levante is a team that invests actually normally. So perhaps among the three promoted teams, they are the ones that should do better on paper.
Yeah, the only thing about Levante is that I think that they will put a decent lineup this weekend against Alavés at Mendizorroza, but yesterday night they only had 6 players registered in La Liga, only 6. So I guess that adds a certain amount of uncertainty to Julián Calero, the manager of Levante. His story is incredible. Edu, we share this story, you and I, but this man, Julián Calero, was a policeman in 2004 when there was a horrific terrorist attack in Madrid. And Julián Calero, working as a policeman, had to enter the train where the bomb exploded and just bring out, bodies, people who were wounded. This was Julián Calero 21 years ago. Ever since then, he completed his studies, he became a coach, even though he was a coach at the regional level at the time, 21 years ago. He started working in football, and like every journeyman, he started from the bottom. He coached Burgos, then Levante. He promoted Levante last season. It's a nice story, and he seems to be a very nice man. I don't know what to expect from the newly promoted sides, because, none of them were terrific. Okay, Levante won the second division with 79 points, which is pretty much nothing. 79 points in 42 games is a very low point tally. No, they didn't have any player who scored over 11 goals last season. Brugué and Morales were those players, but 11 goals in 40-something games is not a lot. Morales, by the way, is a very veteran footballer, but still a quality player. One of their best midfielders is gone to Portugal, 𝗀𝗏𝗏𝗏. He was one of the best players in the second division. And let's see what Levante can bring. What I know is that Alavés doesn't seem to me very convincing. They lost Quique García to Espanyol, which is a massive loss. And they got Mariano instead. And Mariano, if it was 2017, I will tell you, yeah, great signing. But it's 2025, unfortunately, for Mariano and for Alavés. So
we are still young, Alvaro. We are still young. If Mariano is playing in Primera División, I'm hopeful about the future and about the present.
Yeah, but the thing is that, look at his passport. Mariano is not that old, right? He was born in 1993, if I am not mistaken. But does Mariano want to play football? Seriously, does he want to play football? And then they got two players that, they are competitive actually, Aleñá and Johnny Otto. But if Alavés relies on Aleñá also for scoring, Aleñá is not a great scorer. I will say that he's a number 8, rather than a number 10, or rather than a striker. So, for Alavés, it's going to be a difficult this season. I think that Levante will be hyped with being in La Liga. They will register enough players to play this game, for sure. I'm going to go for Levante. With the double chance 167, or even a draw no bet 250.
By the way, big sale this summer from Alavés. Panicelli played on loan in Mirandés, going to Strasbourg for a good amount of money, 17 million euros. A good one. We spoke about him yesterday with Alen Balnegri. Check it out if you want to know Alen's tips about League. And on Saturday we have Valencia, Real Sociedad. I guess these two teams are a huge question mark, Alvaro, because we have Valencia, after suffering a lot last season, they were great in the second part with 𝗵𝗏𝗏. He saved the team. Even at one point, they were dreaming about playing in Europe next season. Now, he has to convince everyone in his second season in charge. But, of course, another summer, another players lost this time. Mamardashvili, we knew that he was going to leave. Mosquera, this is a big absentee. They got Danjuma. I don't know what to expect also about Danjuma. And for Real Sociedad, is even more questions. Imanol left. Now they got themselves Sergio Francisco. I'm not very enthusiastic about Francisco. And then we saw, for instance, 𝗍𝗏𝗏 criticizing a lot the president and the club, because, of course, 𝗍𝗏𝗏, some years ago, Alvaro, he was playing with 𝗍𝗵𝗏, he was playing with Mikel Merino, he was playing with Isaac, and now he's basically by himself.
And David Silva.
And so many others, actually.
No, it's and Lenormand. It's a big change. The truth is that, a year ago I was doing this show. I believe that it was with Leo. You must have been on holidays, like you always are, Edu. And I think that I said that Real Sociedad had the potential to establish themselves as the fourth team in Spain. Clearly, my prediction was a little bit foregone, because, maybe Real Sociedad in the market haven't invested as much as I thought they would. And also because they have lost players, but they haven't used that money to sign players of that quality. It's not easy for them. I know that it's not easy for them. On top of that, Imanol left. But the truth is that I think that Imanol's period at Real Sociedad was over. He was not going to do any better than qualifying Real Sociedad for the Champions League as he did in 2023. And it's the time for Sergio Francisco. Let's see. I have no references about him, but I hope that he does a good job. Then the sign is 𝗀𝗏𝗏 and Guedes. 𝗀𝗏𝗏 will be a competent defensive player. Gonzalo Guedes depends on so many things. He has been decent in La Liga. He's a fast footballer. Real Sociedad sometimes is missing a little bit of speed, so that can be good. But Gonzalo Guedes looked like he was going to be a certain player in 2018, and he has gone a few seasons without being brilliant. 𝗀𝗏𝗏 will be massively important as well, but for me Real Sociedad is a massive conundrum, because in midfield I don't know if they have the quality to create good football. I don't know if they can control games with 𝗍𝗵𝗏 and Merino gone. Bryce Mendes is not that man. He's more of a box-to-box guy, if you like. So, big question marks on Real Sociedad. They didn't qualify for Europe. Maybe that helps them a little bit. And when it comes to Valencia, look, Valencia was one of the best teams of the second half of last season, with 𝗍𝗏𝗏, who arrived in December, doing a great job. I also know that one of the favorite things that 𝗍𝗏𝗏 was doing was playing Sadik and Hugo Duro together, and being, physically so strong up front that they could bully the centre-backs. And Sadik is not there anymore. Hugo Duro is on his own, maybe with Danjuma. Danjuma is not a player like Sadik, no way. It's a different one, probably a better one. But I know that 𝗍𝗏𝗏 wanted to impose something physically up front. And with Danjuma, you don't do that. Also a key change, key replacement, 𝗵𝗲𝗏𝗏, goalkeeper from Athletic de Bilbao, now in Valencia. He's a good goalkeeper, Spanish under 21. Still not as good as 𝗵𝗏𝗏𝗏, that's for sure, but I'm going to follow his development. And then the best thing for Valencia maybe this season is that, or this summer, is that they have extended the contracts of 𝗵𝗲𝗏 and 𝗵𝗏𝗏, especially Javi Guerra. Let's see how they do. Valencia, I don't think that they will have problems this season like they did have, or it looked like they were having last season. But it could be the case as well that at some point, if the owner doesn't invest and the team is not doing too well, and 𝗵𝗏𝗏 thinks that the demands are too high for the squad he has, it could be the case that 𝗵𝗏𝗏 acts like Rubén Baraja or Gattuso and says, look guys, this is as much as I can do. Anyway, all that said, I think 𝗵𝗏𝗏 started very well at Valencia. His landing there was so good that I have no reasons to doubt him. I think 𝗵𝗏𝗏 did a great job. I think Valencia will carry on with the inertia of last season into this season. I have that feeling, despite having lost to Mosquera, probably the biggest loss they have had. Asian handicap minus 0.25 for Valencia, 2.25. Too many question tags on Real Sociedad.
Indeed, but timing for them losing so many good players, and for instance, the Isaac's replacement was Sadik, and he got injured immediately, so the choice was wrong when they tried to invest the money they are getting in the transfer window. Much more exciting is the project of Celta. On Sunday we have Celta Getafe. They are playing in Europe after a fantastic season with 𝗵𝗏𝗏𝗏, a lot of academy players. They lost this summer, Larsen and Fer López going to Wolverhampton, but they got some interesting players, Álvaro, Brian Zaragoza, 𝗀𝗏𝗏𝗏, we saw him in Bruges, 𝗲𝗏𝗏𝗏, so some names. I think that you can be hopeful that they can play well in Celta. Also Borja Iglesias, he's back and he's going to play for the Galician team. In front of them, Getafe, I wouldn't be so enthusiastic about them. The only good thing is that they are keeping Bordalás, but the market has been very poor for them. Even they lost 𝗲𝗏𝗏𝗏, a very important player in the last hours.
Yeah, well, I've never been enthusiastic about Getafe.
No.
In the sense that I never anticipate that Getafe is going to put a beautiful show on the pitch. But they've been very competent and very professional. And even last season, they had a really bad ending of the season when they knew that they were kind of safe. But, even last season, when they started without a striker, they were capable of getting results, draws. Their goal difference was always 0, -1, -2. In that sense, they were the textbook competitive team. In fact, their goal difference was only -5 at the end of last season. They got 42 points, but they didn't suffer. And I think Getafe will probably be the same. For me, it's so important that Borja Mayoral recovers the level of 2 seasons ago. Because last season, he was still coming back from an injury. It looked like they may have rushed him a little bit. But if Mayoral stays fit, he's the kind of player who can score 15 goals per season, and we know how much of a difference that makes. Edu, remember Edu Garcia last season, 𝗵𝗏𝗏𝗏 Garcia, last season at Alavés? I mean, if you have a player who can score between 10 and 17 goals while you are playing to avoid relegation, that's a massive difference. So for me, the biggest question is Mayoral going to be fit or not? Then 𝗲𝗏𝗏𝗏 is gone, and 𝗲𝗏𝗏𝗏 was very good. I think Sunderland are going to benefit from a good defender. And when it comes to Celta, they'll be playing in Europe, and they have assembled somehow a squad that I really want to see. Celta last season was the team to watch because they were very entertaining, they attacked, they had a lot of players from the academy, partially because financially they were a little bit in difficulties, but with Ferran 𝗀𝗏𝗏𝗏, who scored 40 goals in 3 seasons in Belgium, Brian Zaragoza, who for me should be the number 1 replacement for Nico Williams or Lamine Yamal in Spain, my taste, okay? And Borja Iglesias, who is a competent striker, Celta will have a very good attack. They haven't suffered big losses, as far as I can recall, and I'm going to say that Celta is going to win this game, carrying the form from the last season, and just plain and simply because they have improved their squad. Celta to win 171.
Okay, well, Larsen scored a few goals last season, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am really excited, actually, about Celta de Vigo. Next game is Athletic Sevilla,
And
classic.
𝐻𝐿 Aspas. Sorry.
Aspas, of course.
𝐻𝐿 Aspas.
Still there. Athletic Sevilla Classic in our league. Athletic also, they can be very happy keeping Nico Williams one season more and perhaps many more. After many links with Barcelona, he decided to stay. He decided to renew his contract, so he's going to play Champions League, remember, this season with Athletic, still trying to get Laporte. It would be a great signing for Athletic in the last weeks of this summer. For Sevilla, Alvaro, I think not even the most optimistic of their supporters can be happy or are positive about what is happening with Sevilla. They changed the sporting director, they changed the manager. Now it's going to be Matías Almeida. And well, few signings, none of them, I would say, great. Difficult to rate this Sevilla, to be honest.
It's incredible, though. I mean, we're talking about a team that won the Europa League in 2023. We're talking about a team that qualified for Champions League, I would say, that 3 seasons in a row with Julen Lopetegui. And maybe in Spain we don't talk enough about Sevilla because the whole conversation is always dominated by Madrid and Barcelona and Real Madrid. But Sevilla's decline is something that affects Spanish football, I would say. Sevilla was one of these teams that was a great representative of Spanish football in Europe and the kind of team that made it very difficult for the rest. And they are not that team anymore. I mean, look at them right now, okay? Which player, apart from 𝗲𝗲𝗿𝗏𝗀𝗍, maybe guarantees over 10 goals a season? None of them, really. Which player of Sevilla is one of those young prospects that you say he will end up playing for Madrid or Barcelona? I'm not too sure either. Sevilla in the past had like 7 or 8 players like this, and every replacement they did or every time they reshuffled the squad, they were capable of bringing in, players who were increasing their value so quickly, so fast. They're not that team anymore. They changed the goalkeeper. 𝗵𝗲𝗿𝗍𝗏 is going to be the goalkeeper, the Greek goalie. And then they got a new manager, like Almeida, a manager who is very brave, Argentinian. He played for Lazio, probably people remember him. He plays for Sevilla as well. And Almeida took River Plate 4 or 5 years ago in very difficult conditions. And he managed to steer the ship in the right direction. He is a motivator. He seems to be a very genuinely nice guy, and I hope he does well. For Athletic de Bilbao, I'm a bit concerned about the injuries with the likes of Sancet, who picked an injury against Liverpool. Sancet is the best player, in my opinion. I always say that, even better than Nico Williams, and he's not going to be playing until maybe late September. Geray tested positive. They're investigating that. And hopefully Laporte will arrive, because Laporte and Vivian as center backs is a great defense for Athletic de Bilbao. Another good addition can be Arezzo to replace Óscar de Marcos in the right back. Óscar de Marcos retired, and then 𝗻𝗏𝗏𝗏 scored 12 goals last season for Mirandés, 12 goals, 3 in the playoffs, by the way, so maybe he fights for the number 9 position, I don't know. But Athletic has been so poor in friendlies during the summer that I'm not too sure about backing them now, okay? I think they are going to be good this season. I really think they are going to be good, but maybe now they are not in the best moment. So this game, it's a pass for me. I don't know if Sevilla and Athletic de Bilbao are in their best moment. So I'm going to pass. I think this is probably the safest thing to do.
Okay, well, Athletic favorite is still 1.7 to win this game. Espanyol Atlético de Madrid is the last game on Sunday. Atlético de Madrid to win the title is 11. In case you want to bet on them, because they've signed a lot. They are spending a lot of money in the last 2 seasons. There is no excuses now for Simeone because, again, he's placing the team in the Champions League. They are getting a lot of money, and the team is reinvesting this money, rejuvenating the team. As you said at the beginning, Álvaro, Baena, Hanco, Raspadori, random signing this one, Cardoso, Almada, so a lot of good players. Atletico, of course, they played in the Club World Cup, so they couldn't have a proper pre-season, and they are going to Barcelona. Espanyol was one of the teams that struggled until the end last season. They lost their best player, Joan Garcia, as we spoke. So it's another challenge for Manolo González.
It's another challenge, yes. Let's see how they do. They also brought themselves Quique Garcia. It's a clever signing. I think that Espanyol is investing that money to make sure that they stay in La Liga. I don't know. I think that Espanyol may suffer a little bit, like Alavés, for example, but it will be all down to how good the newcomers are. If Elche, Levante, Oviedo are punching above their weight, then the season will be difficult for Espanyol. I think. I have that feeling. Even though Espanyol, improved at the end of last season, that's for sure. That's for sure. When it comes to Atlético de Madrid, yeah, they rejuvenated the squad. The likes of 𝗵𝗵𝗍𝗍, Savic, and many more players who were, getting older have been replaced. And, I'm really curious about Baena. His connection with Julián Álvarez can be very interesting. Cardoso did very well for Betis last season. Hopefully, he will keep his level. Almada, I want to see him. The truth is that he's been better at South America than in European football, but still a good prospect. Ruggeri, Raspadori. Raspadori is the one that I don't know what to feel about the Raspadori signing. On the one hand, I really like him at Napoli, generally speaking. I think that he was a difference maker sometimes. But on the other hand, his role can be a little bit tricky, because if Simeone wants to use Raspadori like Correa, maybe Raspadori is not the best man for that. Because Raspadori is not the kind of player like Correa who could actually in 10 minutes make a difference. Raspadori, yes, he has come out from the bench many times, but in different contexts. I think that Correa was used more to go to the wing, to dribble in little spaces when the defenses are tight. Raspadori is slightly different, but still, I'm really curious about him, because when Raspadori delivers, he delivers well. But yeah, the project is here. This is the next project for Simeone. This is the next challenge for Simeone. They rejuvenated the squad completely. It's younger. I don't know if better than the previous generation, but it's definitely younger. And this is the project. How far can it get? This is my question. In my opinion, Atlético de Madrid should be competing for titles in April. Then winning them or not is a different story. If Barcelona and Real Madrid go over 90 points, then I think that Atlético will be out of the equation. But if Barcelona and Real Madrid are in the region of 80 to 85 points to win the league, Atletico must be there, has to be there. There is no reason for them not to be there. They are going to win this game, I think. Asian handicap -1 for Atletico, 198.
Well, last season, the second part was really poor, and also the Club World Cup felt like the end of last season, so now they have to disconnect, go briefly on holidays, and come back with a lot of new players, and let's see if they are able to challenge. Remember, last season they were winter champions. They were the best team in the first half of the season. And for Monday, we have Elche Betis, Elche back to Primera División, and Betis, Álvaro, another season for Pellegrini after losing the conference final, after not being able to qualify the team for the Champions League, but overall it was a positive season, of course, for Betis. It has been, I would say, a bad summer, especially when Isco got injured. He's going to miss the first weeks of the season, and they sold, for instance, Jesus Rodriguez or Cardoso.
Yeah, but the summer is not over, Edu, I told you that as well.
Always change 7 players every season.
Yeah, and I think they're waiting until the end. I think that they would like to, the word is not get rid of, but sell maybe Ricardo Rodriguez, Chimi Avila, Cédric Bakambu. Those 3 players must be on decent wages. They are inconsistent performers, and from what I have heard, if 1, 2, or 3 of this group leave, Betis will sign a good player. I don't know who. Dani Ceballos could be an option. I don't know about that, but that's the rumor. Also, they would like to bring back Anthony, but Anthony's wages are really expensive as well. Betis signed a few players. They changed the left wing completely with Rodrigo Riquelme, a player that I don't rate that much for the top level, but maybe at that level, Europa League level, can be good. Rodrigo Riquelme with Junior Firpo playing on that left. The goalkeeper will change. We know that with Valles or with Pau. And the good news is that 𝗍𝗏𝗏𝗀𝗀 is staying. Look, Betis, it looks like they have used the academy just to make profit, because you make 100% profit when you sell an academy product. Like, for example, Assane Diao last season, Jesus Rodriguez this summer. And the team is not in a bad position at the end of the day. I think they hit record season ticket holders this year, 57,000, which is a lot. Pellegrini, a good manager, is going to have his 6th season in the club, which is great to keep him. And I think that if they manage to keep Isco fit, and if Isco plays with Lo Celso, Betis is going to be one of the entertaining teams to watch. So I wouldn't be negative about them, especially because Pellegrini is there. I think Pellegrini is the difference maker in here. And when it comes to Elche, look, they've got a manager that people may remember, Eder Sarabia. He was the second in command with 𝗍𝐿𝐵𝗏𝗀 at Barcelona. Eder Sarabia is a good coach. He was coaching Andorra, then Elche, got them promoted. Elche was the best defensive side in La Liga in the second division last season. They had Matías Dituro, who won the trophy to the best goalkeeper. He conceded only 34 goals. And I hope that Elche stays strong this season, and they stay competitive. All that said, maybe Betis is too much. So I'm going to play something safe here. Maybe a draw, no bet for Betis, 162. But, I wouldn't lose too much time on this game. I think that if you want to pass it, because Elche is a little bit of a mystery to me. Let's see how they perform in La Liga.
And for Tuesday, we have Real Madrid, first game of the season against Osasuna, first game for Xabi Alonso, this new Real Madrid with a lot of new faces, Álvaro Carreras, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Heisen, for instance, all new players, and we saw Mbappé really informing the only friendly game they played in this very short pre-season, because they almost couldn't go on holidays in Austria. We have Camavinga still injured, some problems in the midfield. Alvaro, they haven't signed a midfielder when Toni Kroos or Modric left, for instance. So now Arda Güler is one of the midfielders for Xabi Alonso. So let's see what the manager prepares for us in this first game of the season at home. And for Osasuna also many changes. New manager, Alessio Lisci is the new manager. They got Víctor Muñoz from Real Madrid, for instance. But the good news, I guess, is keeping Ante Budimir, one of the best number 9s of La Liga.
Yeah, definitely. And the bad news is that they lost Brian Zaragoza, who, in all fairness, wasn't fit for the whole season, but when he was fit, he was a difference maker for Osasuna. But you may remember, our listeners may remember Alessio Lisci, because he was in charge of Levante for a brief period at the end of the 21-22 season. I think that he took over in a season where they sacked Paco, the classic Levante manager. But, Lisci was very brave to stay as a manager, because I think he was offered the sporting director position at Levante, and he said, no, I want to be a coach. And the decision paid dividends for him, because fast forward a couple of years, and he almost got Mirandés promoted to Primera División, to La Liga. He's got a 40.6% ratio of winning with Mirandés. So maybe Osasuna has gotten one of those managers with a lot of potential. Let's see. For Real Madrid, look, number one, I think that Real Madrid should have been given a little bit more holiday, personally. I think so. That's my opinion. But it's true that the Premier League has been merciless with Chelsea and Paris Saint-Germain. I think that they won't have any any more holidays than the rest of the French sides. So, what the Liga has done is coherent with what the rest of the leagues have been doing. But in my opinion, maybe Real Madrid should have been given an extra week. Okay, sometimes I disagree a lot with Real Madrid's communication and the way they communicate, because sometimes they are aggressive, but here I think they are right. Xabi Alonso, what is he gonna do? He's a great manager, we know. Is he gonna play 3 center backs or a back 4? He played with a back 4 against Tirol in a friendly. I think 3 center backs is his preferred system, that's for sure. But if you play with 3 center backs, then one of the players at the front have to go on the bench. And no one wants them. You don't want to put on the bench Mbappé, Vinicius, Bellingham, or a superstar like that. Bellingham, by the way, is going to be out until autumn because he is having shoulder surgery. I'm sure that Real Madrid is going to improve this season defensively with 𝗏𝐻𝐿 and Militao. And I'm sure that they will be better without the ball, especially when it comes to pressing. Maybe pressing up front is not the best thing Real Madrid can do, considering that Mbappé and Vinicius love counter-attacking, so maybe it's better to press in a medium block and then have some space to counter-attack, but that is down to Xabi Alonso. Let's see what he does. And for me, Trent Alexander-Arnold and Ghoulier don't fix Real Madrid midfield. Trent Alexander-Arnold is not a good midfielder. Trent Alexander-Arnold is a right back who has played well as a midfielder. I think Trent Alexander-Arnold will have great moments at Real Madrid, but maybe he will never own a position like Carvajal does in the right back, or like Xabi Alonso did own it in the holding midfield position. I explain myself. I think that he is not the best right back to defend, and he is not a midfielder who knows the job from A to Z. I think that Trent Alexander-Arnold is going to be a player of moments at Real Madrid. What is a moment? 10 minutes remaining in a Champions League game, you need someone to put a great cross. Trent Alexander is on the pitch, he can do that. You need someone to score a free kick. Trent Alexander-Arnold can do that. But I don't think that he will own a position. I don't think that he will be a player who will establish himself in the lineup for a very long time. I don't think that he's that player. And when it comes to Arda Güler, I think that he is perfect. He can maybe play the role of Florian Wirtz at Bayer Leverkusen, even though he's not nowhere near as good as Florian Wirtz yet. But Arda Güler doesn't fix Real Madrid issues in midfield because he doesn't have the energy of Luka Modric, and every time he gets the ball, he wants to go forward. And sometimes midfielders, they have to keep the tempo of the game. So in my opinion, Real Madrid is missing a midfielder. Apart from Bellingham, of course, they are missing one. And they are not going to get any in the market. And they talk about Adam Wharton right now, Crystal Palace footballer. I don't know what's going to happen there. But in my opinion, Real Madrid are missing a midfielder. That's for sure. But anyway, I think that they are going to win this game eventually, maybe in the second half. Over 1.5 goals in the second half, 185. And for those who like Mbappé, I think that Mbappé is going to be the top scorer of La Liga. I think so, especially with Lewandowski turning 37 this year. Mbappé to score 2 or more goals pays 3.4, and he's in a good form. That's good money as well. But I prefer to stay in the full-time result. in the team result. Over 1.5 goals in the second half, 185 is my favorite one.
Actually, it's a good bet, betting on Mbappé to be the La Liga top scorer. I checked, I think it's 1.8 or 2 is not too much, but still it looks a safe bet to me.
Yeah.
Mbappé to be the top scorer. Alexander-Arnold, by the way, a bit poor so far, especially in the FIFA Club World Cup. He was very poor, and Carvajal is ready. So perhaps he's not even owning this right back position.
No, think Edu, is that number one, if Carvajal comes back strong, and I really hope so, because it's so important for Spain. I really hope that Carvajal and Rodri come back strong. If Spain wants to win the World Cup, they need these 2 players. But on Carvajal and Trent Alexander-Arnold, look, Carvajal knows the position, and defensively, he doesn't let you breathe. Trent Alexander-Arnold is not like that. That's number one. And number 2, Bayer Leverkusen with Xabi Alonso was the team. I think that Grimaldo and Frimpong were among the best, the 3 players who put more crosses in the Bundesliga last season, or maybe among the 4 players who put more crosses. Okay? I think that Fran Garcia or Carreras kind of try to be Grimaldo, even though they are different. But Trent Alexander-Arnold is not that player. When have you seen Trent Alexander overlapping? Never. He doesn't do these things. So Trent Alexander-Arnold will have either to relearn the position, or Xabi Alonso will have to try to get something different from Trent Alexander-Arnold. But if he wants Trent Alexander-Arnold to be Frimpong, which Xabi Alonso is clever, he's not going to look for that, that's going to be impossible.
Well, this is it for this match day one in La Liga from Friday to Tuesday. Remember, guys, of course, that you can participate in our tipster competitions in this new season. We still have open the monthly ones, the yearly ones, or even, thanks to Rivals, you can create your own tipster competition about La Liga and play and challenge your friends and even win some cash prizes. So it's a good idea. It's for free. You just have to register in the Oddspedia website and participate in Rivals or in our tipster competitions. Alvaro, as always, also in this new season, let's wrap up the video with your safe bet.
Of course, let's go for it. My safe bet will be Barcelona to win 152.
And the ACCA?
Asian handicap -1 for Barcelona, Asian handicap -1 for Atlético de Madrid, altogether 356.
Okay, Alvaro, thank you. Thanks everyone for watching. See you soon. Bye bye.
Bye bye.